Women with obstetric fistula condition to be enrolled onto LEAP.
Private sector to manage ECG for the next 20 years starting next year.
You're live on GBC24 and GTV. Good evening. It's time for News Hour. My name is Yoko Kwakutre.
And my name is Evans Champon. Also in the studio to help with the sign language interpretation is Clement Sam. Now to begin our first story, the public is reminded that Thursday, 25th May 2017, which marks the AU Day, is a statutory public holiday and must be observed as such throughout the country.
This is contained in a statement issued by the Minister for the Interior, Mr. Ambrose Derry. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. John Peter Amewu, has called on the Military High Command to, as a matter of urgency, investigate the circumstances leading to the deployment of military personnel to protect Geoprofessional Services, GBS, a mining company at Ntonto in the Ashanti region.
The company, which is manned by Russians and Ukrainians, has defined a temporal ban issued by the government on all illegal and small-scale mining across the country.
The Minerals Commission on the 18th of this month ordered the foreign company Geoprofessional Service, GPS, to cease operations, leading to the shutdown of the company and the arrest of its managing director, a Ukrainian, and 3 other expatriates working for the mining firm. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. John Peter Amewu, visited some mining sites within the Amansia West district as part of his 4-day working tour of the Ashanti region. He was accompanied by a delegation to the Geoprofessional Service, GPS, at Antwa-Krom. For some time now, the chiefs and people of Antwa-Krom have been accusing the company of mishandling the inhabitants anytime they raise an issue with the operational activities. The chief of Tonto-Krom, Nana Kwejo Tonto-Boama, narrated the harrowing experiences of his people at the hands of the mining company and appealed to the government to take a firm action now.
50 acres land. Na ejuma omo ye no so no. Ensambe mahu. Oma ye ejuma bro over 500 acres. And nsu ahodo 9. Ena ewo baby atai no ka kwa no ho. Oma broke nsu ni nyina. Nsu eyire a yentime nko yentime ma. Obeka ha on the soyafo any praise for buku nso.
GBC24 gathered that GPS was giving 75 acres of mining concession that was originally acquired by 3 local small-scale mining firms that has now exceeded 500 acres. According to the chief of Tonto-Krom, GPS, through its mining operations, has destroyed about 4 of the major water sources in the area. Documents cited by GBC24 correspondent showed that on the 18th of this month, the Minerals Commission ordered GPS to cease its mining activities and recover all the degraded lands. It therefore came as a shock to the Lands and Natural Resources Minister that a number of soldiers and police personnel were still guarding the mining sites. The Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Benito Owusu-Bio, told GBC24 that the ministry will investigate the legal status of the expatriates in Ghana. He also indicated that if it is established that the 3 local small-scale mining firms gave out their illegal concessions to GPS to mine, they would automatically lose their operating licenses. The minister and his entourage also visited another site where mining had just begun. Mr. Amewu commended the media for helping to sustain the crusade against illegal mining in Ghana. He, however, asked the Military High Command to investigate the matter.
A site that has been declared, as an illegal, without license, provisions have been manned by strong military personnel, calls for questioning. And I think people of responsible positions might begin to answer questions. It is time this difficulty is brought down to its lowest minerals. And I want to say very big thanks to you. The fight is ongoing. We will continue to do our best, but we cannot do this without the law enforcement agencies.
Meanwhile, the minister has handed the 4 expatriates arrested from GPS to the law enforcement agencies. The minister earlier inspected the progress of the construction of a regional office complex for the Lands Commission at Danyame in Kumasi. The project, which began in 2015, is about 80% complete.
And to a sad story, veteran Ghanaian actor Kofi Bakner has died. He died in the early hours of today. He was a former director of the Ghana television between 2002 to 2009. The late Kofi Bakner was one of Ghana's celebrated actors who starred in several movies, one of which is Heritage Africa. He was 64. We'll be back after this short break. Please stay on.
You're welcome back. Now we do some business news. By October 2018, a private company will take over the operations of the Electricity Company of Ghana for 20 years. This was disclosed by the Chief Executive of the Millennium Development Authority, MIDA, Mr. Owura Safo, at the first ECG PSP Bidders Conference in Accra. Mr. Safo said the agreement mandating a private company to take over the operations of ECG will be signed by March 2018, and it will require an initial investment of $500 million for the first 5 years.
The processes to allow for a private sector participation in the operations of the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, started in 2015. The objective is to make the ECG more efficient and reliable in distributing power to Ghanaians in a sustainable manner. It is also aimed at strengthening the governance and management structure of the company. The U.S. government, under the Compact 2 agreement, would invest almost $500 million into the operations of the ECG in the next 20 years. It will also seek to build the ECG, which is one of the largest distribution utilities companies in Africa, with over 3 million registered customers, and distribute about 6,000 gigawatt hours of power annually into solid entity devoid of the challenges that confront its operations. The latest meeting with the 6 bidders was aimed at amending some portions of the agreement to ensure that concerns raised by all parties are captured in the final document. The Chief Executive of the Millennium Development Authority, MIDA, Mr. Owura Safo, said the authority is taking the right steps to ensure that best deal and partner is selected to take over the operations of the ECG.
The Ghana Compact defines who an acceptable private sector participation provider should be, and these are the elements that went into the pre-qualification documents. It defines that as somebody who has a relevant technical experience and a proven track record of helping electricity distribution companies of similar size and scope as ECG to become profitable.
He said a prospective concessionaire is expected to take over the operations of the ECG by 2018.
It is expected that bids will be received by October 2017, and a concession agreement signed with a selected concessionaire by May 2018. That way, the ECG PSP transaction can reach financial close by early September 2018, so that the concessionaire can commence in earnest the management of operation of an investment in ECG by November 2018.
The Minister for Energy, Mr. Boachi Ejakun, said the government would make sure the entire agreement will benefit Ghanaians at the end of the 20-year takeover.
We are seeking the best qualified and willing private sector partner with the adequate financial capacity and the right experience to partner with ECG to help revitalize the power sector as a whole and ECG in particular. We want to proceed in a real spirit of partnership. And this partnership is not just with government and with MEDA. It is, most importantly, with all the employees of ECG and with the good people of Ghana.
In an interview with the General Secretary of the Public Utilities Workers Union, Mr. Michael Edumata Nyantichi said they are satisfied with the amendment made by the government to the Power Compact Agreement.
We have decided that as a body, we will be very active, involved in all the processes. So at any point that somebody is doing something which we think is contrary to what we have been made to believe, we will also voice it out and make sure that our interest is also catered for.
The Electricity Company of Ghana is the leading power distributor in Ghana, supplying close to 18 million Ghanaians with power, but it is fraught with myriad of challenges such as distribution losses, power cuts, obsolete equipment, and revenue losses.
They reduced the policy rates from 23.5% to 22.5%, but the commercial banks are yet to respond to this development. A visit to most of the banks in Accra a day after the new policy rate was announced indicates that average interest rate is still hovering around 33%. Business analysts say if cost of borrowing is still above 30%, the government's move to use the private sector to drive growth and create jobs can hardly be achieved.
The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana recently reduced its lending rate to commercial banks by 100 basis points to 22.5%. This, according to the Bank of Ghana Governor, Mr. Ernest Addison, is influenced by favorable economic outlook of the country.
With a stable outlook for exchange rate movements and return to the path of fiscal consolidation, headline inflation is expected to trend towards the medium-term target in 2018, barring any unanticipated shocks. Given these considerations, the committee judged that the downside risks to growth outweigh the upside risks to inflation in the outlook, and therefore decided to reduce the policy rate by 100 basis points to 22.5%.
Business experts say the reduction should lead to a decline in interest rates from the banks. The slash in the policy rate is the second reduction for this year. Despite the continuous reduction, interest on loans by the bank still remains unchanged. GBC24 spoke to a section of the public to ascertain how the high interest on loans is affecting their business transactions.
I believe it's very high because it makes cost of doing business very high.
A lot of people in town need to do business, but because of the interest rate, they are afraid to go forward.
The loans from banks carry such high interest rates, making businesses run at a loss.
Bank lending rates in Ghana averaged 28.91% from 2005 until 2017, reaching an all-time high of 42.84% in July of 2016 and a record low of 21.24% in March of 2008.
The second winner of a saloon car in the MoneyGram Ghana at 60 promotion has received her prize at the Tanoso branch of UBA in Kumasi. Mrs. Winifred Krantin Dakwa received a registered Suzuki saloon car with 1-year insurance, while 4 others won consolation prizes.
MoneyGram is a money transfer company with the aim of transferring money in real time with much security. In Ghana, MoneyGram has been in operation for over 15 years and has 23 partner banks in over 2,000 locations. The MoneyGram Ghana at 60 promotion is part of the company's drive to give back to its customers as Ghana celebrates 60 years of independence. So far, 2 women have won 2 of the 6 Suzuki saloon cars up for grabs in the promo, with over 14 people winning consolation prizes. The second winner of the Suzuki Alto, Mrs. Winifred Krantin Dakwa, and 4 other winners of consolation prizes received their prizes at the Tanoso branch of UBA in Kumasi. A representative of MoneyGram, Atubaden, explained that anyone who receives remittance on the company's platform from now till the 30th of June stand the chance of winning over 200 other prizes and the remaining 4 Suzuki Saloon cars.
The promo is very simple. You receive a MoneyGram transaction, you go to any branch of your choice in Ghana, you get a scratch card, you scratch, whatever appears on the card is yours. And thankfully, 4 women and 1 man are here today, to receive their prizes because they came to this branch, UBA branch here, they scratched and then they won. The Tanoso branch manager of the UBA, Daniel Kojobuama, encouraged customers to take advantage of the MoneyGram at 60 promotion to win the other 4 cars.
We want to take this opportunity to congratulate the winner for this promotion. And we ask and encourage our customers to continue to come on board and be part of the promotions. The winner of the Suzuki Auto Saloon car, Mrs. Winifred Krantindakwa, thanked MoneyGram for organizing the promotion.
MoneyGram Zero, it is so easy as compared to the others. The others, I tell them, it is boring when you are doing it. Whatever is happening is real.
The MoneyGram Ghana at 60 promo was launched in February 2017 and is expected to run till June 30th, 2017. The promotion requires customers to do transaction worth 1,000 Ghana cedis at any MoneyGram agent in Ghana.
Digitizing world economy expected to create over 64 million jobs and ensure that over 580 million people rise above the poverty line. It is on the back of this that the senior minister, Mr. Yaosafo Mafo, has stressed the importance of Ghana to prudently ensure the implementation of the national identification process to its end. He was speaking at the 2nd Ghana CEO Summit in Accra.
Private sector employs just about 20% of the workforce in the formal sector. The wage bill of the remaining 80% of the workforce as of 2016 stood at 10.55 billion Ghana cedis, a situation described by the World Bank as not healthy for the economy. With Ghana's debt hovering around 62% of GDP, private sector development is seen as the only means to bring the economy on track. At the 2nd edition of the CEO's conference, the Chief Executive of Margins, Mr. Moses Baden, commended government for initiating the process of a national ID system. He said it will ensure the promotion of e-commerce and reduction of poverty levels.
Africa and Ghana cannot miss the opportunities that we've missed over the last 3 centuries. We cannot just be consumers of technology, but we must be inventors and contributors of the technology that we use. If we don't, our GDP will suffer and our economies will be marginalized. I must applaud the government for taking serious steps to kickstart the National ID project and the digital addressing system to create a trust infrastructure that is fundamental and so critical to a modern digitized economy.
The senior minister, Mr. Osafo Mafo, called for the private sector to be mindful of the dynamics of global businesses.
For many years now, Ghanaian businesses have been formed and many failed to outlive the founding generations of those businesses. Many of these businesses have remained small in spite of huge growth prospects. And while there remain yawning market gaps ready to be filled, they hardly grow to fill these gaps. Ours is a potential that has not been fulfilled, but which can and should be realized in our lifetime.
This is the 2nd time the Chief Executive Officers Forum has been in Ghana, and it is aimed at creating a platform for the CEO to share experience and devise strategies to help move the country forward. Using technology to drive the Ghanaian economy was high on the agenda of the 2017 CEO Forum held in Accra.
From next month, 10 districts would witness the inauguration of the One District, One Factory project. An estimated amount of about 5 billion cedis will be needed for the district industrialization project. The One District, One Factory project is expected to create between 1.5 and 3.2 million direct and indirect jobs by the end of 2020.
The One District, One Factory Secretariat
has a mandate to provide the presidency with a direct oversight of the industrialization agenda. It also oversees the implementation of the policy by providing a direct link to all stakeholders and related institutions. The Secretariat is tasked to identify and create business opportunities in the various districts and harness the strengths and resources of the locals in an effective manner. The national coordinator of the One District, One Factory project, Mrs. Gifty Ohenekunedu, said after the stakeholders' engagement, the project would start. She said out of 200 requests evaluated, the Secretariat selected 25.
We have actually engaged some of them on one-on-one basis. But you see, it's difficult. They are so large, so huge. We need all the private sector, we need all the ministries, so that those that we have not been able to directly deal with will be here, and whatever concerns they have, it will help improve what we have already.
A consultant for the project, Mr. Cole Sam, said the financing module are in various forms. These are equipment, cash flow with the help of the Exim Bank, among others. He said government is not interested in owning these factories, but to support the private sector to thrive.
We also have private investors who are interested in committing money to these projects. They come up with the mode of investment or the way they would want to go about it. Some would want to say we want it in the form of equity. And so with equity, meaning that at the end of the day, they would own a part of your business. After 5 years, they would want to either opt out or say, okay, we'll still keep our shares in your business. If it's infrastructure, if it's equipment and everything, we take care of it, and then you run the business. So what you need is what you get. We believe in the business end of things, and we believe in both productivity, profitability, and employment.
On legal matters, a consultant for the project, Madame Mansa Williams, said there will be general regulatory requirement. In a presentation, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, says it is ready to assist in promoting available investment opportunities. To assist with the manufacturing of machines for the factories, the Chief Executive of Gratis Foundation, Mr. Emmanuel Asiedu, said Gratis is ready to provide standardization of the machines and their maintenance.
For us to be able to help the maintenance of equipment, all the machines should be standardized. Because in maintenance, it's the spare parts that you actually need for maintenance of the equipment. In the same vein, we can train maintenance crew for every region or on every district. That will be going around to be doing the preventive maintenance system so that we can have them. But if the machines are different and the spare parts are different, changing them will become a problem.
The One District, One Factory policy is a flagship program of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, to equip and empower communities to utilize their local resources in manufacturing products, both locally and internationally. Currently, 150 investors have applied to support with the building of the factories.
On interbank markets, the cedi depreciated by a peso against the pound sterling and the US dollar, selling at 5 cedis 54 pesos against the pound sterling and 4 cedis 26 pesos against the US dollar. It traded at 4 cedis 78 pesos to the euro. Up next, the market board.
And the price of light crude on the commodities market dropped by 38 cents to close trading at $50.75 per barrel. Price of gold also fell by $5 to close trading at $2,030 per ton. Gold price fell by $1.20 and is going for $1,259.50 an ounce. We'll take a break here and return shortly with international news. Stay tuned.
The Ministry of Aviation has announced that commercial flight operations of the Wa airstrip will start by close of the year. The sector minister, Madam Cecilia Abnadapa, stated this when she inspected work on the newly renovated airstrip in the Upper West region. The Ministry of Aviation has pledged to ensure the safety of all airlines and passengers when operations begin.
The Wa airstrip was established decades ago. The airstrip, however, has been unable to receive commercial flight due to lack of some technical facilities. Expansion works of the airstrip started in October last year to enable it run on commercial basis. Work done included construction of a fence at Station D, runway markings, a stand for fuel storage, construction of drains, and renovation of offices. The minister and her entourage were taken round by the assistant project manager of the construction firm, Mr. Addison Dramani. Briefed the minister on works done so far.
Of a fence at Section D, erection of a set for gen set and a stand for fuel storage as well, repairs of an existing fence, cut and fill works, extension of the apron, construction of 150 meters drain at air site, runway marking, filling of ditches at runway 21 with boulders, erection of bollards at Section C, and finally, laying a concertina top and down around the fence.
The aviation minister, Madam Cecilia Dapa, asked the contractor to rectify a few maintenance problems on the terminal building to make the facility ready for use.
But we are working because the president has told us that he's in a hurry, which means we should all be in a hurry. That's why we've traveled this far, to make sure we come and see the airport and look at the work, the scope of works that have been done. Then review it. If there's value for money, we all have seen. If there is no value for money, we all have seen. We've detected a few areas that the contractor needs to put right.
Earlier, the minister called on the regional minister, Mr. Suleiman Al-Hassan, at the Regional Coordinating Council and the Paramount Chief of WA, Naf Hussein Pelpu. The regional minister, Mr. Suleiman Al-Hassan, said the people of WA and its catchment areas will be happy if major expansion works are carried out to transform the airstrip into an airport. A former member of the Council of State, Na Seidu Brahma, who spoke on behalf of the WANA, said the opening of the airstrip to commercial flight will reduce reported cases of armed robbery and accidents which occur when people travel within and outside the region.
We are also confronted with the hazards of the road, accidents and other things. But the most important, armed robbers, when you set out on the road. So that is why the people of this area think that if the airport is worked on quickly and the planes are flying in, it will go a long way to boost economic activities.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, was at Yendi in the Dagban traditional area as part of his Northern Regional Tour. He commended the people of Dagban for ensuring peace in the area, which he said is a prerequisite for sustainable development.
There was a frenzy among the people when the Vice President's convoy entered Yendi, making its first stop at Kakampuya Na Palace. Yendi, a fortress of Dagban tradition in the north of Ghana, is an important destination. It is home for internal pilgrimage and political calls. The Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, on his maiden official visit to the northern region, since assuming office few months ago, had his travel compass settling on Yendi. He went there at a time the peace is holding in the town after years of chieftaincy feud and uneasy calm. Dr. Bawumia sought to entrench the status quo as he preached peace and commended all residents for stretching the olive branch at one another. He said the MPP administration will tackle the myriad of problems facing the locality and the nation, but that will be the product of peaceful coexistence among the citizenry.
The Malayan Pillar Free Secondary School Education.
Free SHS will surely take off September this year. $3 million is committed to the Yendi Water Expansion Project. Habib Tijani, the MP for Yendi, spoke about the water problem. We will also upgrade the Dagbang State Technical School into a model school. The Vice President, who was also at the Bolinas Palace, also expressed gratitude to the people for the comportment and support which gave his party the mandate to rule. It was a meeting among Dagbanli-speaking personalities bonded by regional heritage and the causes they pursue for mankind.
Coming up is the health segment. Please stay on.
Welcome to the health segment brought to you by FPAC and Yamvita. Women living with fistula will soon be enrolled onto the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty Program, LEAP. The Minister for Gender and Social Protection, Madam Otiko Afisa-Jaba, who announced this at the World Fistula Day celebration, said it is to enable the women fend for themselves and their immediate families.
Obstetric fistula occurs when there is an abnormal hole between the vagina and rectum or bladder following prolonged labor during childbirth. This condition makes women to easily soil themselves due to loss of control in either urine flow or bowel movement or both. The WHO says fistula was largely eradicated in developed countries, but it still affects about 3 million women in developing countries. A survey conducted by the Ghana Health Service in 2015 indicates that annually about 1,300 new cases occur. It affects the poorest, most vulnerable and marginalized women and girls. Also, those with no access to timely, high-quality, life-saving maternal health care are affected. Fistula, which is preventable, still occurs in today's world, and Ghana is not an exception. The report also indicates that fistula is prevalent in all the 10 regions of Ghana at a rate of 1.8% per 1,000 deliveries. This represents about 711 and 1,352 new cases per year. However, the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, and partners are able to treat only 150 cases annually. This means about 1,100 cases are left untreated, although the average cost of treatment, including surgery, post-operative care, and rehabilitation support, is approximately $500. This is said to be beyond the means of most women with the condition. The Ghana Health Service, with its partners, have launched a 5-year strategic plan as a sustainable mechanism to ensure effective healthcare delivery on the ailment. The Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Gloria Kwanzaa, said the government will make the necessary arrangements to reduce fistula cases.
Obstetric fistula is preventable. It can largely be avoided by delaying the age of first pregnancy, the cessation of harmful traditional practices, and timely access to medical care.
The Ghana Health Service also introduced a 12-member task team to ensure that funds raised from donor partners for the treatment of fistula yields results. Dr. Gloria Kwanzaa said promoting girl-child education will help eradicate the disease. The Minister for Gender and Social Protection, Madam Otiko Afisa-Jaba, hinted women with fistula will be integrated into the National LEAP program.
To demonstrate this government's concern and support for persons with fistula, will put them on the LEAP. The LEAP is to lead people out of poverty and ensure that the dignity of every Ghanaian is maintained.
World Fistula Day is celebrated annually on May 23. This year's celebration is on the theme, hope, healing and dignity for all.
Meanwhile, obstetrician gynecologist at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Gabriel Ganyaglo, has encouraged people with obstetric fistula to seek early treatment. He said the culture of blaming patients for their predicament should stop.
Despite treating nearly 30,000 women over the last 30 years, Nigeria still has the highest burden of obstetric fistula in the world. In Ghana, 10 years after the launch, a report on the burden of obstetric fistula indicates that 1,300 new cases of obstetric fistula develop each year. Out of this figure, about 200 fistula repairs are carried out each year. The obvious question then is, where are the remaining 1,100 fistula cases? To give meaning to Ghana's campaign to end obstetric fistula, Dr. Gabriel Ganyaglo says it is incumbent on all to identify women living with obstetric fistula, especially in the rural areas. According to Dr. Gabriel Ganyaglo, once identified, every effort should be made to get these women and girls to the hospital for cure. He said the culture of blaming the patient for their predicament should be stopped. Mass education on obstetric fistula is key. Tuberculosis and HIV are under control. Destigmatizing obstetric fistula will encourage more women suffering from the disease to come out for treatment. As we join the world to bring hope, healing and dignity to all women suffering from obstetric fistula, let us also put our shoulders to the wheel to find and bring those suffering from obstetric fistula for treatment. That should be the clarion anytime we join the global community to observe the International Day to End Obstetric Fistula.
And that will do for the health segment. We are back shortly with international news.
Hello, good evening. Let's talk sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. Newly appointed coach of the senior national women's football team, the Black Queens, Masood Didi Dramani, is optimistic about the future of the team under his care. Coach Dramani, who has taken over from UC Vazige, says is aware of the tasks ahead and will not disappoint.
2018 AFCON for ladies, and the objective is that it is the grounds to qualify for 2019 France, and so once that is the objective and you have been tasked to lead a group, the objective is to do well to get into 2019. Personally, I think that I want to lead a team to 2019, and so the objective, mainly from my point of view, is to assemble a crop of players, and also looking at the fact that the transition of the youth teams have come to the end as youth players, and so you have to be thinking that their next phase of journey is the senior national team, and so you look at how to blend the youth. Already some of them are already there. You're looking at the average age to be expecting, and then you're looking at for the existing squad, those that can still add some value into it. Then you put the two together, and then you begin strategizing in terms of making use of the FIFA mandated official time for friendly internationals, because you are not going to compete in the qualifiers, and so it's a whole lot of planning, and trying to put in place program.
The 2018 event will be the first time Ghana will be hosting the competition since it began in 1998, but for a second time in 10 years that they will be staging a major competition after hosting the men's version in 2008. Ghana is noted for her achievements when it comes to women's football. Out of 12 editions, Ghana has made 11 appearances and only missed out in the 2012 edition when Equatorial Guinea hosted the championship.
To hockey now, where a total of 26 goals were scored in week 4 of the ongoing Greater Accra Hockey League. Trustees were ruthless as they beat Acmen by 8 goals to 0.
The Greater Accra Hockey League Week 4 fixtures continued at the Theodore Siaoko Hockey Pitch in Accra. Instead of 8 games expected, only 5 were played, with the remaining matches rescheduled due to the rains on Saturday. Here are results of other matches played. Ackman 0 Trustees 8, NDK Financiers 3, Multistakes 2, Safhoda 5, Citizens 2, Real Ambassadors 2, Temamahian 1, Odipon Heroes 2, Young Financiers 1. The clash between Prisons versus Police, GRE Ladies versus Police, and Lego Knights taking on Exchequers will be played on Thursday.
Let's go to Korea now, where Senegal began their FIFA Under-20 World Cup campaign on a good note. They beat Saudi Arabia by 2 goals to 0 in their opening Group F clash. The win moved Senegal to the top of Group F ahead of Ecuador and the United States. That's all for sports.
In entertainment news, actor Sir Roger Moore, best known for playing James Bond, has died at age 89. He played the famous spy in 7 Bond films, including Live and Let Die and The Spy Who Loved Me. Sir Roger, who died in Switzerland, will have a private funeral in Monaco in accordance with his wishes. The Rienko weather report is up next.
Ridomil Gold Plus. Spraying technique. Spray your cocoa pods with Ridomil Gold Plus to protect your harvest from black pod. To get a good harvest, you should use Ridomil Gold Plus every 4 weeks from the start of the rainy season until September. The best time to spray Ridomil Gold Plus is early in the morning before 11 a.m. Later in the day, the change in wind direction may blow the Ridomil Gold Plus away from the pods and pollute the person spraying. Spray the Ridomil Gold Plus onto the cocoa pods. Spray each pod from the top of the tree to the bottom of the tree. When you have sprayed all the pods on the tree, move on to the next tree until you have sprayed all the trees on your farm. Remember to use 150-gram sachet of Ridomil Gold Plus per each tankful of water and 6 50-gram sachet of Ridomil Gold Plus for every acre of your cocoa farm.
That is all we have for you today. See you same time tomorrow.
And it's a wrap on the news for now. Thank you so much for watching.
We are back at 10 p.m. with a late edition. Until then, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Good evening.